Here we have a new 2023 Genesis G80. This one comes with the 2.5T Sport Prestige package in alta white, and then we have sevilla red interior. I believe that's perforated leather. And then the powertrain on this G80 does consist of a 2.5 liter turbocharged inline 4-cylinder engine, and that's mated to an 8-speed automatic transmission, giving us 300 horsepower, 311 pound-feet of torque. But as we come around to this beautiful front end here, we do get LED headlamps along with LED daytime running lights. And the lights don't flash, that's just how the camera's picking them up. But love that huge grille there and that kind of mesh look that's going on. Just looks fantastic. And coming around to the side here, these are 19-inch alloy wheels. I think somebody was cutting grass around this, so sorry if it's a little dirty. We get passive keyless entry on the front. Memory seat functions here, just hit set and then press the number you want to set it to, and then you can use that same number to recall it. And then we do have our power mirror controls here. We can pick a side, turn them on and off, and adjust using that dial, and power fold by hitting this button here. They fold in and out pretty quickly, and we do have blind spot monitors in those. And then we have one-touch automatic up and down windows on all 4 doors. Power door lock controls are here, and then we have our rear window child lock there, so all that's electronic, so nice to have that. Love the door panel here. We have that red along with that mirror finish for the Lexicon sound system, or aluminum finish, excuse me, and then the rest of that black there, little additional trim. Now here we can adjust brightness for the gauge cluster, auto stop toggle, traction control toggle, electronic parking brake, pull up to engage, hit the brake, press down and disengage, and then we can open and shut our lift gate from up here as well. And to close it, you just hold it there. But let's go ahead and pop the hood for later. And then these pedals are covered, so that's the foot pedal you get there. Love those. And then we do have power tilt and telescope on our steering wheel. And then here's our power driver seat with power lumbar. So power lumbar controls are there, seat back, seat bottom. And then we do have power thigh support along with our ergonomic feature there. But huge shout out to Genesis of Cool Springs for allowing me to review this G80 today. I'll leave a link below in the description. But there's a quick look at the window sticker. You all can pause anywhere you need to if you want to take a closer look. But with the Sport Prestige package and the Advanced package, we do have a sticker price at $62,930. And honestly, not bad for all that you get, in my opinion. Especially just to have the 2.5 turbo. I said earlier, I think I was doing a GV80, and I said how the 2.5 just felt a little sluggish, but I'm gonna test it out for myself and make sure I actually test it right. But here we do have the seat back pockets on both sides. And then our rear AC vents are here. We can adjust the fan speed there, fan direction, temperature, auto mode, and then turn that off, just adjust the fan speed. I like how the vents are integrated there. And I like that you can adjust the seat from the back. So if you're trying to get in or get comfortable behind the front passenger seat, you can do that without having to go up front and adjust that. But a very beautiful interior, in my opinion. Cup holders are there. We can power our rear shade back and forth from back here. And then we do have the 3-stage heated seats, so we can control those outboard seats from the center here. And then additional storage along with 2 USB-A charge ports if you want to just have your phone in there charging. And pull this here, access to the back. And then you can actually just fold all that up there and then just go back in reverse to put it all back down. But there is the sunroof there with the shade back, grab handle here, LED dome lights, and a lovely rear shade here. Let's go ahead and make our way to the back. Gas caps here, premium's recommended. As we come around to the back end here, we have those LED tail lamps. And just a good looking vehicle in my opinion. Dual exhaust. And there's a look underneath. And then to pop the trunk from the back, hit that button there. And plenty of space back here. We have that netted side pocket. We can actually pull the net back and forth, both sides, which is nice. And then spare tires right underneath there, with everything you need to change that. And here's a quick look from the rear passenger side there. I like that we have the rear side airbags. And then over here to our front passenger seat, we don't have the power seat or the power thigh support, but we do have the power seat back, power seat bottom, and that lumbar support. And then we have a lockable glove compartment right in there. So as we come around to the front end, just got to hit this release. And there's that 2.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. But next, let's go ahead and hop in the driver's seat. It is extremely hot outside today. So we do get a nice leather wrap steering wheel here. I like the sporty look. There's the horn there. But over here to the screen, I'm just gonna run through this. Navigation is there. You can use a search menu, type in Starbucks, an address, coordinates, whatever. You can use voice recognition for it as well. It's just it's a neat system. Gets the job done. Then you have the navigation menu there. You get AM, FM. Now, one thing I can't stand about Genesis and Hyundai's radios, and Kia as well, is whenever you are switching between like bands or whatever, it will not, if I have it on mute on XM, I kind of want it on mute when I go to the next band over. I don't want to be scared to death by the audio. So that's like my only complaint with their radio system, specifically on this Genesis. But we do get AM, FM, XM. Love the QLS system. We can use on-stage reference or audience for our surround sound. And the Lexicon system are just there, crystal clear, very good sound systems. So again, AM, FM, XM, Bluetooth, and then we have wired Apple CarPlay, wired Android Auto compatibility. And as I say in all of my Genesis reviews now, I don't understand why we can't have wireless CarPlay, Android Auto in these expensive cars, but we can get them in some of the cheaper ones. But set up here, we can go through our vehicle settings, navigation, sound settings, if you want to adjust the tone and all of that. Device connections, if you want to connect your Bluetooth, walks you right through it. Just follow the prompts. And then if you want to change your language or anything else, just go into this general setting system, hit language, you can change that, and then you can change your units as well. Because that's those are the two biggest things people ask me in the comments. They're like, how do I change the language? How do I change the units of measurement? So there you have it. Now for the climate controls, you can adjust them pretty much everything through the screen, fan speed, auto mode, AC, fan direction, all of that, and then the rear climate as well. But I like to use the buttons down here below so we can change that fan direction there. We have 2-stage heated steering wheel, 3-stage heated cooled seats. We can adjust the fan speed pretty easily there. It's all soft touch, which I love. And then the rear as well, we can adjust that if we want to, set the auto mode, and then turn that off by adjusting the fan speed. And then you can also just change the temperatures here using the knobs, and then cut the whole system off, auto mode. All of that, again, can be used from here. Now, the only issue I have with this is the glare, which isn't really bad, but it shows your fingerprints. But I keep a cloth anyway because my car has a screen. It's a Mach-E, so it has that big tablet screen. So as long as you keep one of those on you anyway, it'll keep everything looking shiny. It's not a necessity, but I'm just picky like that. But set up here, all of our quick shortcuts that we normally use are right here. And then our backup camera with guidelines is there. Then we have our front camera there, and then that 360 view on the side. Now we do get a wireless charging pad, so I have the phone charging there, and then 2 USB-A ports here, and we can stow all of that. And then volume controls here. We can click there to mute, and then we have a tune knob there on the right side, and then a home button shortcut, back button, and a menu shortcut there. So for each screen you're in, you can have the menu pull up and adjust whatever screen you're in there. Now here, I like this knob. It's actually pretty easy to use. Walk through the screen. And it's nice that you have that capability to either use the touch screen, use the knob, or a combination of both. Which reminds me, hazards are right there. I love where they put that. That's where they should be. Now for the shifter, it's a rotary, so pull all the way to the right for drive, all the way to the left for reverse, and you can tap from either direction to go into neutral, and then press P for park. And then 2 bottle holders here, we can stow that. And to go through our drive modes, we just hit this button. So we don't have a knob, but I like that you can just go through them very quickly. So comfort, sport, eco, custom, and then hit this camera button to toggle the camera on and off. Then parking sensors are here. Center console cubby space with a removable tray, 12 volt, decent size. I like that we can push that button there and get it open. And then there is our oversized sunroof. So I can one touch, go there. It doesn't go any further back, but oh well. So while it's closing, I love the dome lights in the Genesis. They look fantastic. And then I like that we have a shortcut for that rear blind as well. So I don't necessarily have to be in the back to get it going. Universal garage door transmitter there. And then back to the steering wheel. Blinker, and having the all digital gauge cluster is nice because when you turn your blinker on, you have a side view camera that shows on either side instead of having to use just the right side like in some of the GV80s. But toggle those high beams on, turn them off there, and then in auto mode, you can toggle the automatic high beams on and off. And then we have our paddle shifters behind the steering wheel, windshield wiper controls. We do have automatic wipers, so one time, off is here, auto, low, high, and then when the autos are on, you can adjust the sensitivity of those there, and then pull up for that front wiper fluid. And then to the left side of the steering wheel, hit this mode button to go through your audio sources when you set those up. And then voice recognition, you can go through your track list of radio station presets here. Volume, you can adjust there, click there for mute, unmute. Bluetooth, we have a steering wheel button, so we can set that up. So however you want that to be set up, that can be a favorite there. And then we can go through our sub-menus of the middle part of the gauge cluster here. And then within each one, we can use the scroll bar to go through the different options. And then you can just hold this button if you want to turn anything else on that's in that content section. But smart cruise can be activated there. Lane following system there, and then the gap adjust for the smart cruise there. And of course, we can adjust the speed and then click to pause and resume there. Push button starts here. Make sure you can see that without the glare. And then finally, here's the key fob with remote start, and then we can also remote park as well if we need to fit in a tight squeeze. But next, let's go ahead and take this G80 2.5T out on the road for a test drive. So starting the test drive in this G80 here, I've driven the 3.3 liter V6, and this is my first time behind the 2.5 inline 4, and I will say that it still has plenty of pep in it, but of course you have 300 horsepower, 311 pound-feet of torque, so that's what I'd expect. But it's still surprising to think that a 4-cylinder is pushing this car the way that this one's being pushed. And the turbo pull is fantastic. It feels luxurious, but also feels relatively quick. But in the G80 here, now of course it doesn't ride like a boat like the G90 does, but it's still a pretty comfortable ride, pretty luxurious ride. And of course, having the heated cooled seats is nice. Having the ergonomic function is great. And then having that power thigh support this is a driver's car, but it can also be something that you can chauffeur your kids around in, and you could use it to kind of chauffeur, but I'd rather have the G90. I feel like that's a true competitor to a Mercedes S-Class. And I feel like the G80 to me is between the E-Class and the S-Class, just in terms of the luxury you get, the power, the ride quality. But for me, this is more fun to drive, I think, than a G90. I'll put it that way. Because the G90 is quick, but where it rides so well, just incredibly smooth, it's not that much fun to drive compared to the G80. And of course, the G70 for me is the most fun to drive. But I'm gonna put it into sport mode now. And I'm just gonna show off the pull just a tad. And I think I'll have a little bit of space, so this should be fun. I'll test out the paddle shifters too. So the shifts are relatively quick, not necessarily snappy, but this is a luxury vehicle. And I mean, it's pretty quick. Yeah, just incredibly fun to drive. See if I can put on the Smart Cruise here. And that, along with the lane centering, or the lane following assist, I think is what Genesis calls it, just makes this so comfortable. It's a very good system, let me put it that way. And you're not supposed to take your hands off of the wheel, but in essence you can. Shouldn't have a lot of issue, but just be prepared to take control at any minute. And then something else is great is the blind spot monitor will actually pull up here as someone gets to my back right there. So that's pretty neat. It's just like everything is going on here on this screen. And you get that 3D effect too, which I like. It might be over the top for some who just want a clear picture, but again, with this kind of car, I think it suits it. Because like the G80, I think the screen is fancy, but it's also pretty sporty. Now, I think price point wise, this is a pretty good option just based on the competition out there. I think it's right smack dab in the middle with some of the competitors, but I feel like this gets you a lot more options than you might find in a competitive Mercedes, BMW, etc. Now, I have the car in eco mode now. What I like is the eco mode isn't like you find in the Nissans, Infinitis. Now, it doesn't allow you to necessarily get full power on a light throttle, but it does allow you to accelerate with more ease, and it kind of keeps fuel economy at the forefront. Now, it's not necessarily the top priority with this car, but it does keep you from burning through gas like you would in sport mode, but depends on what you're wanting at that particular time. I will say I like how the gauge cluster adjusted there. So I've got an all new picture here, just more of a laid back format, and then when I put it into custom, you got something different. Comfort is there, and then sport, you get something else. So pretty interesting. And I also like how the side bolsters kind of stiffen up in sport mode too. Something I didn't notice till I went through all of the drive modes, because it's so subtle, and that's fantastic. So when you're in sport mode, the seat's ready for you, and it's not necessarily waking you up by just getting really tight on you. But I've said this before about the G80s. I really like the car. It's a fantastic bargain, in my opinion, for a luxury sedan. And with all that being said, this will bring me to the end of my review of this 23 G80 2.5 Turbo.